Welcome to Speaking of Sports. I'm your host, Garrett. This week we're going to go over the NFL, and we're going to go over the Cowboys, talk about their latest rumors, and we're going to go over who will have to prove themselves the most in this next season to keep their job. Now, I don't know about you, but as soon as that big game in February was over, I was ready for some more football. Only 48 days until Week 1 kicks off. On Thursday, September 5th, is whenever the NFL season begins with the Packers playing the Bears. And that first Sunday is going to be a good one with some fun matchups. Some good matchups will include the Chiefs versus the Jags, the Falcons versus the Vikings, and the Giants versus the Cowboys. And the night game, the Patriots will host the Steelers. And not to mention, there'll be a doubleheader on Monday night to wrap up Week 1. Now let's transition into some Cowboys talk. With spring training just a couple weeks away, word got out that Zeke might hold out in spring training and in efforts to get a long-term deal. I can take both sides of this argument here. For one, Zeke touches the ball more than anyone in the NFL that's not a center or a quarterback. The running back, in general, gets the short end of the stick when it comes to contracts. They get paid the least, they put on more miles, and which causes more damage to their bodies. And with all that, they play a very limited amount of years. On the other hand, you have the Dallas Cowboys, who came out publicly and said that they want to pay Elliott that long-term deal, and they've also budgeted for it. But they didn't plan on doing it for the next 2 years when his contract is up. Yes, Zeke's trying to make a point, but it's not good for him, the team, or the organization. He would miss a year in his prime. It might not ever be the same. Some teams are trading their best running backs to acquire additional picks, and unfortunately that might be what Dallas does. But I think this team is best with Ezekiel Elliott on a team. In my opinion, he's a top 2 running back in the whole league for sure. Zeke is entering his 4th year in the league with no signs of slowing down whatsoever. In fact, he seems to be getting better as the years go on. What if he becomes the Frank Gore or Adrian Peterson type back, or better yet, the new Emmitt Smith? Now, how would you feel about locking up the next Emmitt Smith? If I'm Jerry or Stephen Jones, I'm not wanting to rock the boat in this situation. I would pay the man. And if it's not immediately, it would have to be the very first deal next summer. Now we're moving on to potential Cowboys that might lose their job come 2020. Number 1 for a lot of people, I'm sure, is Dak Prescott. But he is the Cowboys' future. And if you have a problem with winning 3 out of 4 games, I'm sorry, but you need to learn the game of football. With Kellen Moore taking over the new offensive coordinator role, I don't believe he's someone that could potentially lose their job, but someone that has the most to prove. I think Moore will turn this offense around and make everyone in the coaches' meetings a better coach. Keep in mind, the new trend in the NFL is to jump the gun and hire newly offensive minds as their head coach. So if Kellen does well this season, that might be it for him. My number 1 Cowboy to lose his job after this season is Jason Garrett. If they don't make it to the NFC Championship, he's gone. If by somehow they do make it to the Super Bowl, it's only because of the offensive mind of Kellen Moore and the defensive coordinator, Chris Richard. And even then, I still think Garrett is gone. That's it for this week's show. If you have any sports-related questions, please message me personally or comment below. Thanks for tuning in to Speaking of Sports. I've been your host, Jared Slack. Join me next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time on the Mute Mogul Media YouTube Network.